In the beginning scenes of the movie, we witness Gary, a tow truck operator, pulling up to Maddie Barker's residence to repossess her vehicle. As Maddie emerges from her house, she attempts to evoke an emotional response from Gary, reminding him of their past romantic involvement before she abruptly cut off all communication. However, her endeavors are swiftly derailed when a man she had a casual encounter with the prior night steps out wearing only his underwear. She tries to explain that he is a cousin from Italy, but the guy's behavior towards her tells a different story. Despite Maddie's vehement objections and explanations that she relies on her car for her job as an Uber driver, Gary remains resolute and tows the car away. Maddie glides on her rollerblades, going to work as a bartender. She comes to a halt as she saw Gary's vehicle parked in a fast food chain to purchase breakfast. In a mischievous attempt, she fumbles with the car's controls, attempting to lower and drive it away. However, her efforts are in vain as the car remains connected to the truck. Awkwardly, she struggles to disengage the two vehicles until Gary intervenes, raising the car once more. Unfortunately, Maddie's actions lead to her being placed on probation. To compound her troubles, she receives news of owing a substantial amount in back taxes, putting her home at risk of being lost. Maddie, a lifelong resident of Montauk, works as a bartender at a scenic waterside establishment. Her close friend, Sarah, is also part of the bartending team, while her husband Jim is among Maddie's companions. Maddie's supervisor takes note of her strong-willed demeanor when she engages in a dispute with a customer attempting to order a drink prior to the bar's opening hours. During their break, Sarah shares a noteworthy job advertisement with Maddie. The ad originates from an affluent family seeking a person to engage romantically with their son before he embarks on his college journey. In return for this arrangement, the family offers a Buick Regal as compensation. Although Maddie realizes that the term date implies a sexual context, she decides to go along with the proposition out of a lack of alternative choices. Her motivation stems from the desire to capitalize on the family's wealth, especially since they are involved in her housing predicament. Maddie arrives at the Becker family's residence and introduces herself to the parents, Laird and Allison. The main topic of discussion is their son Percy. Despite being on the verge of attending Princeton in the upcoming fall, Percy's social demeanor is marked by extreme awkwardness and shyness, leading to a scarcity of friendships. His days are predominantly spent in isolation, engrossed in video games within the confines of his room. Though the family initially hoped for a caregiver closer in age to Percy, who is 19 years old, Maddie, who is 32 years old, successfully persuades them that she is the suitable candidate for the role. Notably, Maddie is determined to bridge the gap between them and address Percy's challenges. However, a unique stipulation is presented by Laird and Allison. They emphasize the need for Percy to remain unaware of the arrangement made to assist him. Laird and Allison direct Maddie to locate Percy, who is working at a dog shelter. In an attempt to catch his attention, she dons a snug dress and pretends to be interested in adopting a dog. Percy introduces her to a former police dog named Milo, who was discharged from duty due to a cocaine addiction. As Maddie's advances become too intense, Percy becomes anxious and tries to end the encounter prematurely. However, Maddie offers him a ride home using Jim's van. Upon arriving at her place, Percy unexpectedly uses mace on Maddie, leaving her in discomfort. Clarifying her intentions through the pain, Maddie confesses her attraction to Percy. In response, Percy expresses a desire for a genuine date, a proposition Maddie accepts. Later, Maddie returns Jim's van to him and Sarah, summarizing that Percy is not open to casual intimacy. Maddie accompanies Percy to a bar where she's familiar with one of the waitresses. Despite knowing that Percy isn't a fan, she orders him a Long Island iced tea. Their outing takes a turn when Travis enters the scene. Evidently, he and Maddie have a history as they used to be in a relationship. Travis proudly displays his wedding ring, emphasizing that Maddie leaving him was a fortunate event in his life. He cautions Percy against developing strong feelings for Maddie. Maddie and Percy venture to the beach for a daring skinny dipping escapade. Despite Percy's initial hesitation, Maddie persuades him to join in the adventure. In a twist of events, a trio of inebriated adolescents appear and abscond with their belongings, containing wallets, phones, and keys. As a result, Maddie finds herself emerging from the water in a state of complete nudity. A confrontation ensues as she valiantly confronts and ultimately subdues the three youths, compelling them to return the pilfered items. Upon re-entering the water, Percy voices concerns about Maddie's behavior. A departure seems imminent, yet an unresolved matter arises. Percy, still unclothed, demands the return of his phone. In the ensuing disagreement, he ends up perched on the hood of Maddie's vehicle. What follows is an audacious drive, with Percy gripping onto the hood and Maddie determinedly steering the car. Their reckless journey captures the attention of law enforcement, prompting a pursuit. Driven by the fear of losing her license, Maddie accelerates and employs evasive tactics, managing to navigate the car over train tracks mere moments before an oncoming train arrives. This gambit enables them to evade the pursuing police officers, ultimately ensuring their escape. Maddie brought Percy to her place once again, hoping to ignite a spark between them. She embarked on a daring endeavor, performing a sensual dance in an attempt to captivate him. However, their intimate moment took an unexpected turn when she noticed a rash on Percy's back. He attributed it to his own anxiety, but Maddie's concern prompted her to take action. Fetching lotion, she gently applied it to his back, fostering a moment of vulnerability. Maddie began to unveil her personal history, sharing embarrassing episodes from his past. Inspired by Maddie's revelation, Percy felt compelled to reciprocate. He mustered the courage to divulge a painful memory of his own. He recounted how his peers had cruelly taunted him for sleeping in his parents' bedroom and fabricated rumors about an inappropriate relationship with them. These hurtful experiences had left Percy scarred, explaining his reluctance to engage with the outside world. They go on their exchange, further deepening their connection. Percy invites Maddie to spend a genuine day together, and she accepts the offer. They visit an arcade, where they play games and win prizes. However, their time at the arcade is cut short when Maddie gets into a disagreement with another child, and they are asked to leave. As they continue their outing, they make their way to a lighthouse. During their conversation, Maddie opens up to Percy about her life. She reveals that she has never left Montauk and has been living in the same house with her mother. This living arrangement was made possible by her father, who provided them with money in the house. He did this to ensure they wouldn't interfere with his new family and life. This heartfelt discussion brings them closer as they share personal experiences. Here, Percy gathers the courage to ask Maddie for a kiss, and after a slightly awkward moment, she agrees. Later, the two of them decide to meet up with Percy's former nanny, Jody, who is now an adult man. Maddie's behavior around him raises some suspicion in Jody, but she deflects his concerns by playfully labeling him as creepy for being a male nanny to a teenage boy. The day's events and conversations continue to shape their growing connection and understanding of each other. Doug Kahn, a past schoolmate, unexpectedly appears at Maddie's residence in his newfound role as a real estate agent. He expresses his intention to list and sell Maddie's house at its complete market value. However, Maddie resolutely declines his offer, reaffirming her commitment to rescuing and preserving her cherished abode. Later, Maddie and Percy embark on a delightful dinner experience at an upscale restaurant, marking a charming episode in their personal prom-themed rendezvous, a compensatory gesture for missing out on their respective proms. In a candid conversation, Percy reveals his musical inclination, mentioning his proficiency in playing the piano. Encouraged by Maddie, he takes the stage and enthralls the entire restaurant with his rendition of Maynader, garnering enthusiastic cheers and a round of applause that reverberates through the establishment. Maddie herself is genuinely captivated by his performance. A fellow student from Percy's school, Natalie, seizes the opportunity to commend Percy for his musical feat. During their interaction, Natalie discloses her impending enrollment at Princeton University in the upcoming fall semester, establishing a common link between her and Percy. She extends a gracious invitation to Percy for an upcoming gathering designated for Princeton-bound students. However, this proposition doesn't sit well with Maddie, who harbors concerns about the potential romantic dynamics that might unfold at such an event. Maddie voices her reservations, cautioning Percy against attending the gathering out of apprehension that he might become entangled with Natalie or other girls. Despite Maddie's heartfelt reservations, Percy remains resolute in his desire to attend the event. Maddie and Percy arrive at the party in a limo. He leaves Maddie in the vehicle out of disappointment towards her. Maddie, eager to find Percy, navigates through a crowd of snooty teenagers who question her presence due to her age. Eventually, she discovers Percy in bed with Natalie, but he is unwell from alcohol consumption and taking ibuprofen. Concerned, Maddie tries to make him vomit, but their efforts are interrupted by the parents of the party host, who demand Maddie's departure. In an attempt to defend her, Percy accidentally strikes Maddie in the throat. Later, in the limo, Percy expresses his desire to have an intimate moment with Maddie, but she realizes his drunken state and refuses, despite his declaration of love. Laird and Allison observe a noticeable change in Percy's demeanor. He's become more lively and sociable. Percy attributes this transformation to his new girlfriend. However, Percy confides in them, revealing that he has decided not to attend Princeton anymore because he wants to remain close to Maddie. Concerned, Allison reaches out to Maddie, who is grappling with doubts about her job. Laird proposes a solution to Maddie. She can keep the car they've provided without being obligated to maintain her relationship with Percy, thus preventing him from foregoing Princeton. Unfortunately, the situation takes an unforeseen turn. Percy happens to be in his parents' car, which he starts, inadvertently activating the car's speakers. This unintentionally allows him to overhear the ongoing conversation. To his dismay, he hears Maddie expressing her desire to keep the car without having to engage in a romantic relationship with him. This revelation leaves Percy heartbroken. Percy invites Maddie over to his place to introduce her to his parents. During their lunch, Percy adopts a passive-aggressive attitude. Following this, he heads out with his coworker Crispin to take the Buick into the woods for some mischief. They propel a rock onto the gas pedal, causing the car to collide with a tree that subsequently falls onto it. Upon his return home, Percy and Maddie decide to have a sexual encounter, but their moment is short-lived as Percy prematurely ejaculates on Maddie's thigh. In the aftermath, he candidly reveals his awareness of various things and declares his desire to end things with Maddie. He predicts that she will likely remain in Montauk for the rest of her life. Gary eventually arrives with the battered Buick, citing that Maddie's name is on the vehicle's documents. Consequently, she finds herself compelled to persist with her Uber responsibilities despite the sorry state of her car. Meanwhile, Percy reverts to his previous routine of secluding himself in his room and immersing in video games, deliberately ignoring Maddie's attempts at communication. Following a considerable effort, Maddie manages to accrue enough funds to restore her car to its former condition and settle her outstanding taxes. In a moment of triumph, she celebrates alongside Jim and Sarah. However, her relation is short-lived as Jim and Sarah disclose their intention to relocate to Florida in light of Sarah's pregnancy. This revelation leaves Maddie disheartened, realizing that she will soon be left entirely on her own. Subsequently, Maddie reaches out to Doug and decides to accept his proposition to sell her house. She finalizes the sale with Jim and Sarah, who intend to use it as a home to nurture their forthcoming child. Meanwhile, Maddie sets in motion plans to embark on a new chapter of her life in California. Maddie discovers that Percy is attending a gathering at Princeton, prompting her to seek him out. Despite her attempts to explain herself, Percy remains unresponsive. In a move reminiscent of Percy's past actions, Maddie climbs onto the hood of his car. In a surprising turn, Percy drives away with her precariously hanging on. Their impromptu journey leads them along a beach, where a barbecue grill sets Maddie's clothes ablaze. The chaotic drive eventually concludes as Percy steers the car into the water. In a state of panic, Percy searches for Maddie in the aftermath of their watery ordeal. Through tearful exchanges, they mutually apologize and mend their fractured relationship. With their differences resolved, Maddie discloses her plans to relocate to California, a decision Percy receives with genuine happiness. A lighthearted moment arises as Percy playfully asserts that their initial intimacy still holds significance despite appearances. As Percy readies himself to embark on his journey to Princeton, he bids farewell to his parents Laird and Allison. Maddie emerges, offering to accompany him on his drive to Princeton before she continues her own journey to California. The reunion takes an even more heartwarming turn when Maddie reveals her adoption of Milo, a surprise that brings their shared history full circle. And that's the end of the story. I hope you liked it. Comment down below what movies do you like us to recap next. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.